There we go. New Year's
Yeah,
resolutions. Julie,
New
you
Year's
just asked
resolutions.
if we have some.
Hmm.
First of all, I think there's a camp of new people who they don't believe in them. Like they don't want
Mhm.
to make the commitment. So that's their
Hmm.
resolution. Is like, I'm not making one. Is
Yeah,
mine.
I
It's
know
like
some
that
of
doesn't
those.
really count. Like play by the
Yeah.
rules. Before I have an expose on me, do you have any, Julie?
Um, Being on my phone less when it's family
Okay.
time.
Okay.
I like that.
That's been a goal for our family more. We've been eating healthier this year, so that's one. And
Did
then
you
I have a
eat not healthy last year?
yeah, I'm very like I swing from one side to the other. Like let's have
Oh,
a salad and grilled chicken for lunch and then
Mm.
let's eat ice cream and whatever for dinner. Like I'm very like I like healthy food, but then I also like everything.
I don't know
So
if I
we've
haven't
kind
heard
of
that.
buckled down
Ice
more
cream for dinner
protein.
is what my takeaway was. Not like dinner
I
and
think
then ice cream,
is
but
it
ice cream for dinner.
is the
Well,
trick
it
for you,
depends.
Julie? I just don't have those things in my house. Like I can't eat them if they're not there.
They'll
Like
be
Yeah,
in your house in like
place.
it's
4 or 5 years for
hard
sure.
with the
Yeah.
kids, and then you start eating things you've bought for the kids that you don't even want, but for some reason you're going in the pantry and eating
Right.
them.
Or if they don't finish their waffles in the morning, you're like, I throw this
Mhm.
away, or I have like half a waffle from 3 kids.
Yeah,
No big deal.
yeah. So that's me. I have a few others, but how about
Okay.
y'all?
I always do like
Yeah.
a Word doc in my phone of like personal and then work. And one of my favorite personals was I think for 4 years now I've been trying to do the polar plunge, and I did it. I jumped into a cold lake on New Year's Day, and so
There
I
we
was
go.
so proud of
You're good
myself.
for
I
the
was
year.
like,
You're
I was
done.
like
Done.
You're done.
done,
Done.
done for
Mark it off.
January. But yeah, sometimes in the past I've done like a challenge a month to myself,
Okay.
but I think it's pretty consistent with my goals. I have a whiteboard over here for people who are listening. I can't see. I'm angled toward my wall of like there's a certain amount of blogs I want to write. There's a certain amount of books I want to read. There's a certain amount of other books I want to read. And there's a certain amount of speeches I want to give in my fun speech classes I do.
Mhm.
So I think just that number improved and then lining it up with other things. So anyway, yeah, January 1st, done.
Done.
So I already feel
Nice.
Yes.
good about that.
Yeah, I actually this is my expose. I said that like I have this
Mm.
weird list of giant stuff. Actually,
Oh, I'm ready.
so this gets deep. We're getting really deep, everybody. I need Dr. Phil in here. Um, I have ridiculous goals, but I also need to realize I need to be more content. This sounds like red church
Mm.
right now. I need to be more content. It's in the Bible. Because I know I look at last year, I'm like, man, you missed it, bro. And then I look, but I didn't. I don't think I did. Kevin, Mike, did I miss? I'm just kidding. But like I look, I'm like, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Relationships, this, like everything moved in positive direction, but I still put the weight on myself. Like you could have done better. You really could have done better. So I'm not struggling. I make this sound very dramatic. Like, well, what should my goals be? Being that I know whatever they are, if I hit them, I will probably still feel the same way. I probably could have done better. So it's like this weird dichotomy of like, do I have these big ones, which are a lot of fun to chase,
Yeah.
and they wake me up in the morning. If I have these goals where I'm like, I can definitely do that. Like, that's not fun to me, and I won't want to do them. It's a
I
weird
think it's
situation for me.
I think it's the strategy also that's coming to my mind when you're talking is the strategy to get out of debt. I know when I paid off my student loans, it was like doesn't matter how much you have, sometimes just pay off the smallest loan, even
Mhm.
doesn't matter, that you have to do little steps and get rewards. And so I think that's with home builders too. They
Yeah,
sometimes you see like this huge goal and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get there. But then you just do the math backwards and work backwards and you go, okay, if we have 4 months to get this done, here are the project steps we need to do. And I know Julie, you have a lot of experience with kind of come up with that for content. So I think I always tell my son that too, because he's like really into building these big Legos. And I was like, one small step at a time.
you're
So
like, this one's
Andrew,
600 pieces. That means I'm doing it, son.
no,
It
he's
doesn't mean you're doing.
great. He goes step by step. And that's what it is too, is like you just break
It's a step
difficult
100.
things down into small steps. And I think they're bigger goals are more achievable. And I think that was Jesse's like word of the year, right? Wasn't it like
Yes.
less, like
Less. Yeah,
do more quality over quantity this
yeah,
year?
one overarching goal. It's not really a goal. It's just like a realizing that my environment can have an influence on mood, motivation, and just distractibility for your head, especially when you're at home, right? There's really closing up any open-ended things. Like during COVID, it's like we're all bored. out of our mind for some reason, which is really weird because us at Deconvert, we're always been remote. Like, why did we feel any different? We did feel different because you went to the store and you're like, everyone's looking at me like I'm gonna kill them or something. This is really strange. Like, you stayed away from people. It was a really weird time. So a lot of people did home improvement projects. I think as like a reprieve from that, they got distracted into it. It was escapism essentially. So I did like a fireplace set up in the living room. That was, what's this on my wall right here? I forgot what it's called. Shiplap.
Shiplap.
Except it's horizontal TV, fireplace mantle, then like the electric fireplace at the bottom. Because we're in Florida, we don't need real fireplaces. And it's like 99.5% done. I have like 2 pieces of trim to do, which I see it every time. My wife definitely sees it all the time. Hey, when you finish that? I don't know. Maybe it's 2 hours worth of work, but there's little 0.5% things.
Yeah.
In all these little projects, probably even at work too. There's little things I have to do, but you have to go back in time and be like, oh, you have to really like make extra time for that versus trying to cram it into your normal schedule. So those I want to get rid of, and then go and like, okay, there's little things that like, we've been talking about doing this for forever, which it sits there, and then it takes away from like active thought, I guess, if that makes sense. Like it's like waiting on you. Like, okay, that's waiting for me. That's waiting for me. So really get rid of those things that are like waiting for you is something I'm trying to do. I don't know if that's a New Year's resolution or not, but that's something I'm much more aware of it now.
Yeah,
That
that's
I
like
don't
the
want those
getting
things
things
sitting there.
getting things done talks
Yeah,
about
getting things
that,
done.
where you like have to use the mental energy to hold on to things if they're not.
Yes,
planned
100%.
out.
So with that, I bought this. I haven't got it yet, but it's called. There's this guy. I don't really know much about him. I can't even pronounce his last name. Jesse Itzler. He's on. You see him on TikTok, Instagram, all this stuff. But he has a big ass calendar. I said that word on the podcast, but it's every day of this year, and it's on like a 4x6 poster, or it's like 3x5, whatever it is. And so you could like, oh, here's the day. So get really granular, see your whole year. It's gonna go right here in front of me. I won't be able to not look at it. So we'll see.
I think that was the thought
excited.
process Bryce talked about on our team, also of creating post-it notes. Like you have to
Yeah.
visually see goals sometimes. And I used to do that in my marketing role. I would have things, the world can be digital, but sometimes you need people to physically see what's coming next, and having pre-mood board next steps things in your department and, whatever, even digitally is like, here's what we're working on, here's what's next, and making sure things get accomplished. Cause I think what you're saying is like time happens fast. So got to utilize the time, because that's the only thing we're never going to get back for trying to accomplish our goals.
There's like 400 country songs that talk about time passing. There's a one, what's it called? Next Thing You Know. So with that said, next thing you know, this is welcome to episode 321. Really, 321? Wow, 321. I'm Andrew Peak, and with me today is Julie Jarnagin and Jackie Lipinski.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
We're here. That was a fun little intro. Well, let's just jump into the story time. Julie, speaking of country songs, you got something about a truck. What's going on with the truck?
Husband bought a new truck.
Oh, he's happy.
So he is.
Or maybe not.
So
let's find out.
it's been interesting to watch like the shopping process when you're on this side of things. Then you start watching the marketing and like what they're doing. So it kind of started like everybody does, like what's out there, what's available, looking at other people's trucks. As we would drive by the dealership, he would like have his eye and then go to the websites and start, like, what does this have? And what do I want? What does that have? But the most interesting to me as far as like content was after he'd kind of narrowed down what he wanted, he started seeking like that validation, like people who he wasn't going to like the dealership website or the truck manufacturer website to find stuff. Like he'd seen all that. Then he starts watching like the YouTube videos of like the things I've added to my truck and the things I like about it the best and don't like about it. And it's like, I think that's the hardest thing for builders, because that's either got to be user generated content. So content that somebody else makes about you that's positive, hopefully, and not negative, like thisbuildersucks.com. We don't want that. Or it has to be something that you create that's very authentic. Because I think you get beyond, you go through the step of the more marketing things we think traditionally that are on our websites and very polished, but then they go into this like rabbit hole of wanting to see what real people think about it. So I was like, how do we either create more of that or share more of that? And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if the salesperson he was dealing with was sending him this stuff that he found when they found out that, he was a hunter and this
that's pretty cool.
specific thing was really a big deal to him because, you know, he's on the road a lot for that kind of thing. If they were sending them that kind of thing, or knew somebody in a similar field who had this truck and this is why. And, you know, so it's not just generating it, it's having it generated, but also the sharing of it. Like, how is it distributed and can we use it more? So it was just fun to watch him go through that whole process.
That is interesting. And he, okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think if let's say someone's looking for a house and now someone's toured the house and they're kind of on the fence, do you think that one, it's the user who obviously is searching out, or two, should it also maybe be that salesperson be like, hey, you told me you wanted this house because of X, or you like this feature, and then they're also sending you resources that's maybe not associated with them? Or is there a balance, or do you think that it should just be like, if someone is addicted enough to your product, they should be able to find resources online for that?
Yeah, well, I think it's both, but I think, you know, we've talked a lot in the past about bingeable content, but there is like this certain space of time, and it's just like a defined space where they just want to consume everything they can about that particular thing. And they don't only want to consume like the basics of what things are, but they want to see what it's going to feel like to actually live in that house or actually drive that truck, or what problems they're going to run into. So it's almost that mid funnel content that needs to be more like deeper level, like what is actually, does it feel like to own this, you know, to be a owner of this? And so whether it's or just us creating it, it's like that's got to be out there and distributed somehow.
Didn't we have a builder, I think, together where they had amazing mountain views from their community, and they were building the second floor, and we're like, be great if you could take a video from the second floor, or have someone on your team say, this is the view of the mountains you're going to see this in when you wake up in the morning. So it's just also like, wow, I didn't realize that, or obviously I toured at night and don't know what the sunrise looks like. So whatever your creative things that can feed into their interests, I think is always great. I think that's what the last couple of years has definitely loosened the reins on the flexibility to lean into that user generated content from people who are on your site, or you know, not everything needs to fit in this exact box. You should try new things every year. Maybe that is what we were saying earlier, Andrew, regarding like goals for the year, or what we're trying to achieve is like, get a little uncomfortable with creating content, and maybe it's not up to 100% what we as marketers would love it to be brand wise, but is it solving the content problem, or feeding the interests of a potential buyer? Like, lean into it.
Yeah. So there you go. You just inspired my goal for me to cast out to the whole builder world. This is on Jackie Lipinski, what I'm about to say. I'm just her mouthpiece for what she's saying. She's like, what are you going to say? Kind of like, don't stop making safe decisions. Right. But and that thing about content, like any content you consume, any content you talk about is done in a way that's not middle of the road and safe.
Yeah.
Anything you remember. So everyone, like Julie, you're talking about your husband buying a truck. There's, I'll use some like psychology terms. Like there's this hyperfixation phase where he's receiving all this positive energy, chemicals in his brain, dopamine, excitement, but he could be easily swayed in both directions and almost offended. It's because you're volatile. So imagine you're in that phase where you're like fixated on like, I want to pick the best floor plan. I want to pick the best builder, etc. You come across this TikToker. His name is Marshall. Find him online. I won't reference his thing, but he's recently been going after a big public builder. And imagine you found that piece of content, and he does it through comedy. I think it's hilarious. He talks about tools. He has like a classroom with like DeWalt, Milwaukee, all these different brands, and he talks about like why one is better than the other. But he does them as if they're people. Their personalities, like, well, this one's not that smart over here, and that's like right, or whatever it may be. So they get this content, and then they're influenced by it. So either we can influence, or we could let, like Jackie said, the user generated content influence it. But if we're not saying anything that is interesting, we're like PBS or NPR. Sorry if you listen to NPR, and it's super exciting to you, but typically it's not super exciting. Or C-SPAN. There we go. It's C-SPAN. Like, who wants to put on C-SPAN? Like 5% of the world, 0.5%. They want to put on the drama. They want to put on something of interest. So if you're making content that is C-SPAN, they'll turn it off and find this weird guy on TikTok named Marshall that's making skits about builders. And that's what they'll be influenced by that, which even if it's 100% incorrect, I think that's what they'll take away from it. Julie, what truck did you go with, if you don't mind sharing?
I knew you were going to ask this.
I need to
and
know because he uses his truck. He's
I
like,
don't know.
he
It's a
legit uses it.
GMC and it's a diesel and it's really big.
GMC 2500 Sierra. He's got that Duramax in there with the Allison
I'll send it to you.
transmission.
I knew you were going to ask, and I should have I don't know. I
'Cause he
rode in
drives
it
a
for the
lot.
first time ever yesterday, so I don't know.
Sound good because he legit uses it like as a truck.
He drives to from Louisiana to Oklahoma many times a year to go hunting, and then stuck in the mud, 4-wheel drive. It's just like he's hard on his trucks.
And he's a content creator, so he creates content. So this is up his alley. Like we need to get him on. You should interview him.
Best interview.
That would be so much fun. Jackie, how about you?
Talking about time flying, today it'll be a week late. 3rd anniversary at Do Convert. So
yeah, buddy.
Yay! Congratulations.
I think
Only 45 more until you're released.
So my contract is free. Yeah. And then they're working
Billing your contract.
I know it's been great. It's funny. It's like, I was like 3 years it's been pleasant. So this is not also like we're great, but I just, thanks for having me. Thanks for listening. And I love being at Do Converts, and man, time flies. But my real story, other than that, is last week I had a builder ask me about unique questions, and I didn't know how to answer them, but I decided to reach out to, I used to do like multi-family apartment marketing-esque things lightly. And I had an old friend in the industry. So I was like, hey, can we have a 15-minute conversation? I want to pick your brain. And for the record, I did ask permission to share the story because I was like, that's great. Is this okay?
Consent's good.
Consent. So we were talking about just like little weird improvements or things that happen in an industry that can influence other industries. And one thing he told me that I was like, oh, I'd love to share this with builders, is that they were really struggling as a company to get feedback to improve and learn what they could do better. And they decided one thing changed, and the text message update that went from, hey, we'd really love your feedback. Feel free to leave us a review. That was pretty generic. They just updated the text saying like, we're going to plant a tree or a native plant as part of each and every Google review we receive. We would be so thankful if you can click the link below and leave your feedback and help us and the environment improve. And with that singular change, he said that it was doubled from over 100 reviews a month to 200 reviews a month that they were getting feedback on. And so sometimes it's, people look for, I think that's what you're saying too, Andrew, is like, what big, huge change can we make? And sometimes it's like little incremental changes where you have heart and add the human element into marketing, content, your messaging can have a bigger positive impact than you might consider. So try new things, A/B test, experiment with stuff. But that was great. Thanks for sharing. He knows who he is. And
I think to add to it, I think that's not, like I said, like stop making safe decisions. Yeah. I think that's not a safe decision. Imagine you're meeting with your boss.
Go out and plant the trees. He was even telling me, he's like, we're struggling to keep up with how many trees we have
at the apartments now. Or they like sell somewhere? Not
at the apartment. They as a team go into the forest and plant the 1,000 or so trees a year. So he has crazy. We have to coordinate a date. It's becoming. So
it's kind of a pain. Like it sounds like, imagine telling like Kevin or Mike, like, hey, we got this idea. If we do this, and then I want to plant a tree, and I don't know, the Ozarks would be a lot of fun because they need more trees in the Ozarks. I don't know about that, but like wherever it may be, you're like, no, let's just word it differently, or maybe we like $5 Starbucks gift card. You can't even get anything for $5. Like that's safe. This is like, well, let's just see what happens. Like, let's go.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, you're not committing to overly, you're helping the environment and you're helping yourself improve and addressing that. And so I think that just clarity of what you're trying to achieve together is great. So wanted to share that.
They need to make content of them on their tree planting days as well.
And then I'll say, we have planted X amount, we've improved, this was due to this. And it keeps feeding it keeps getting bigger and bigger each year. And obviously, as local builders, and it's a local company to Washington, you can really, you really like lean into, we're working to improve in this area where we exist, and we want you along for the ride.
Yeah, very cool. That's fun. So mine is, it's full of drama. It's also there's
Oh.
kind of two things in here. Is anyone kind of, I can't ask the people listening because they're listening right now, but like shake your head, hit your steering wheel, whatever you want to do, like kind of burnt out on social media. Like I'm kind of over it, minus
Mhm.
people making content that is happy, it's funny. Um, I guess that's really kind of, or educational in some way, like it's something that is of value. The rest of it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like why is Instagram on my phone? Why is this on my phone? Why is it like, I don't know. I'm just kind of, or like, I don't know. Like I enjoy people, real life, human connection, all that stuff. Like that's there, but I'm just seeing more and more. I'm just, I don't know. I'm in a weird phase with all of it. We probably all go through it at some point, but I'm like,
Mhm.
I
eh,
think I
kind
think
of over it.
for a lot of people who continue it or don't know, I think more and correct me if I'm wrong if you're listening to this, right? But it might be FOMO. Like you have a fear of missing out if you do delete it.
Yeah,
And there are unique benefits. Like I love my Facebook buy nothing group because I have two
yeah.
now
There's
my
certain things I
daughter's
do
like
like.
5 months. I'm like, here's on a 3 month close. Like someone if it'll help someone, like I want to have
Yeah, that's awesome.
build the community and there's not another product to
It's how you
like
reach
fill
people.
that void. Yeah.
I guess it's so that's like the first part. The second part is there's this guy. He's a, I don't know what he is, realtor, trainer, something. Do I say his name? Don't say his name. I don't know. I'm gonna say his name. Jared James today. He puts these videos up, and this one is a rant of him essentially saying, "Do realtors make too much money? What do you think?" Then he goes on, like any small business, da 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 all this stuff, and he kind of lists this thing where like realtors actually should make more money. You
Hmm.
should actually buy your realtor a cup of coffee at Starbucks, whatever they want, venti, grande, with all the substitutions. It's a $12 drink, and ask them, how do you succeed so well in your business? And you deserve more money. I'm like, who the beep? Like this guy's nuts. Like I'm so confused, and I'm thinking like, okay, understanding different businesses. Like I know many business owners, like we all do. Especially you get in marketing, you just get connected to lots of different people. I'm like, okay, like there's really what's the cash flow management of a realtor? Okay, what's the what leases do they have compared to a retail store? What insurance that like I'm just looking at it, I'm like, this is not the same. And so he has multiple other videos that just go into like, woe's me, realtors have it so hard. We actually should make a lot of money so we could buy the homes in neighborhoods that our clients live in. So we
Mhm.
understand the community. So if they can afford a $5 million house, we better get paid enough to buy a $5 million house. So we understand what that community feels like and we could sell it better. I'm like, this guy's nuts. And what's funny, it's like, it's this is why I hate social media a little bit right now. It's like, is he doing this because it's genuine or is he really doing it to get, it's almost like comment baiting or engagement baiting. There's people
Yeah.
on here that like, you guys are ridiculous. Half the people work from home, do not work from home. We all work from home, but half the people sit at home and then you get a showing alert and you put something nice on, you go in your Mercedes lease, you do this, and you work 3 hours a day, 4 days a week, whatever it may be. So I'm being a little rude to be like, make the point. And there's others where like, no, I work 6 hours a week that I don't have weekends.
Mhm.
And I'm like, everyone has choices in life. So if you don't want to do that anymore, like maybe jump out. But like this content, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like, I shared in Slack group. We were talking through it. I'm like, this is terrible. So that's my story. Is like,
I think he
I'm gonna
knows
watch it.
who his
He's
smallest
trolling
market
me.
is, and he leans into what obviously people who digest his content maybe want to hear, or like you said, like
Mm-hmm.
you're starting a conversation aggressively, potentially, but it is those maybe to have those starting conversations, you need these extreme views. So
Yeah.
I watched it. I won't give my opinion, but
Oh, see, it's
go
safe
for
decision. I'm
different.
just kidding. I'm giving a hard time.
Well,
I'm giving a hard
I'm
time.
not his market. I am not who's
We
trying to
are
target
not.
messaging.
It's.
So
I think it's safe. That's what word of the day is, safe.
hmm.
I think it's safe to say it's an immature viewpoint of business to claim those claims for what is typically a single individual with very low overhead and they are a salesperson, to claim that that is an equivalent to other businesses and you should take advice from such person, which is my only beef with it. I'm like, talk to someone who started a home builder company, how much capital they needed, how much planning they needed to buy home sites, manage trades, keep them paid, loans for interest rates from banks. Like that's business,
Yeah.
not did I get my
I
commission
have the
right.
article, but I think, and we don't have to talk about this further, but I think this year, like the NAR agents it was like the first year there was a decline in registered real estate agents too. So I think some people
They
have
hung it up.
they hung it up this year. So we'll have to we'll track that.
Let's end my spiciness on that one. So let's go on to the news. This first one. So Microsoft rolls out a new AI tool that generates instant banner ads. This one's complicated to like truly understand. You had to click on this link to that link to that link. Did y'all get to the bottom of it?
I got to the video. Did you go to the second link?
So I went to, well, let's see if we all ended up in the same spot. That's how confusing it was. What was your summary of it, Jackie or Julie? Either one.
No, I feel like I watched the video, so I don't want to like.
Oh, you're like, I got the truth on it.
Yeah.
Julie.
Yeah. So what I understood was that AI, you're going to be able to just put your URL in, and AI can take the information from the URL and create that banner ad. So it doesn't have to be created by a designer. And then you have a little bit of control and can guide like what the main keywords are, and you get final control. Personally, I'm skeptical about all this. Like, we've seen enough AI promises that then when you actually go to use it, you're like, eh. So in theory, like, oh, well, that sounds cool. But like instantly, I'm like, that's not going to work unless I'll have to see it to believe it when I read it.
And yeah, Jackie, you know everything about it. So my guess on what I gathered through it is, so it's technically, I believe it's under a product called Promote IQ. You can't just sign up for it. You're like, you're buying into this. So it's not from, I would say 99.9% of people listening, we're never going to see this thing ever for us. Like, we're not the market because we're not, one, I hope no one's spending that much money with Microsoft. And if you are, I really want to see how you are spending that much money with Microsoft, with Bing. That'd be super cool to see what's going on. So I'm like, okay, like it's not really for our type of business. It seems like it's more retail, larger retail, using Promote IQ, and then also with like an omni-channel element. Omni being everywhere, omnipresent, everywhere, omni. So I'm like, oh, this is neat, but I have my skepticism, like Julie, like, is it actually going to be the best ads or just like a quick solution? Because you could tell ChatGPT, write an article about the top 10 marketing challenges home builders have in the United States. Writes it, and you're like, oh, that's cool. And you read it, you're like, well, this isn't really it. So Jackie, bring us to the truth.
Well, I think what also happens is people, and this is why I wanted to talk about the article today, because it's the beginning of the year. People, we always say, try new things, try different things, and look at different solutions. So they might be trying unique things like this. But I think what a lot of people get wrong, and the book, I think Kevin and half of our team is reading or read by now, called Same as Ever, by Morgan Housel. I don't know your last name. But it talks about like, there's no hacks. Things are going to be, they need to be hard to be successful sometimes. Like, we can streamline things to a point. And I think that's what they're saying. Like, we can streamline stuff that maybe you don't need to be 98%. You just need them to be 50%. And that might be good enough for a small company. And this might be the solution for it. But I think for people who genuinely know how to market and how to create ads and think about strategically ad creation and what should be in it. I don't know if this is the right tool, but it's going to be, I think more tools like this are going to be popping up throughout the next year. So kind of putting it as there for builder partners and builder marketers is like, it is something that exists. Humans are still better at it. Take a look at it. But what they're actually saying in the video, if anyone looks at the links in the show notes, is they have this link, it pulls a picture of a couch, it grabs the picture of the couch, it changes the background of the couch, and then it can create different like versions of that ad depending on where you want to.
Like IKEA. Imagine IKEA doing that. Like, they have perfect photography. It'd be amazing for them. But maybe like, I love what you said, things need to be hard, which is, Same as Ever. It's on Spotify. If you're paying for it, you get like, I forgot how many hours of books per month. But yeah, I'm trying to think what in life has been easy that actually is worth doing or like successful. Like, really, is there anything hard is where the success is? That's for sure. Let's see here. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, Business Insider. This one, did it load for me? Oh, where'd it go? Oh, okay. The title is so negative. I thought like it was this, that's what it is, but it's what it is. From Business Insider, it's our fault. You feel bad about the economy. This one's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah. And I think we talk about this quite a bit on the podcast because we'll get an article and we'll be like, no, the headline is a little over dramatic. Like they're trying to get clicks on this one. So that's what the article's saying. It's that the media has actually influenced how people feel about the economy right now. And people feel more negative about the economy than it even actually is. And a lot of that in their research is tying back to just clickbait and what media is saying and how they're making things out to be worse than they are. And that's how it's been with us. A lot of times we'll read an article and once we dig into it, the headline's not quite telling the full story, but they need that to get attention. And I thought another interesting point in the article, though, people feel better about their local economies than the national economy. And that's probably because they feel more familiar with what's in their backyard. They can really feel the effects, see what's happening with their neighbors. And then they just have to rely on what they're reading or seeing or hearing about national economics. And so that's where there's more skewed data or skewed information.
And remind me if I'm wrong, is it Zonda who tracks news article headlines I think it is. Sorry, if you're listening, I apologize if it is.
Or housing.
But there is a company, maybe it's Elman. There's a company that like tracks what is happening in the headlines because sometimes, we can look at data, we can look at charts, but again, that human element and our emotional beings that live inside of everyone that don't make rational decisions have a lot more influence sometimes of what we want to do. Even if news articles are like, the economy's bad. It's like, well, I just had a kid and I need a house. So I'm going to buy a house, or vice versa, where it's like, now is the worst time to buy it. It can make you see that and then not have, like you're saying with the car, Julie, like I want to feel good about my purchase by knowing other people feel good about the purchase. And if the news is telling me I shouldn't feel good about the purchase, but I want to feel good about the purchase, like there's going to be some conflicting emotions happening there. So that's my take on it.
Agreed. Yeah. Mine was like, I read it and I think maybe I was in like a little bit of a mood when I read it, but I'm like, well, duh, like negativity breeds negativity, right? That's kind of like the old quote. That's just the way it is. There's this song by NF. Who knows NF? I think Julie definitely does. Julie, you will. There's a song called The Search, and it's really interesting because it's very introspective, but I think it's true for everybody because we're all humans. We all have our days. We all have this, but essentially talks about like self-talk. If you're looking at yourself all the time, you're like, you're not good enough. You can't do it. No, you can't do that. Like you haven't learned that yet. You're not going to. Like, it's just what it is going to be. But if you like have this like arrogance of confidence, like just like I could do whatever I want. Cool. You'll probably be more successful in whatever you're trying to learn, or versus this negative outlook on it. So I read this. I'm like, well, yeah, of course, if the news is always negative, and I think about people that have typically they listen to less less news sources, and they have really strong feelings on things. It's all negative, and so their outlook on life is very negative. Everything is broken. Everything is this person's fault or that person's fault. And I'm like, that bred a whole culture of society because of negativity. And here's the same thing. So be a positive builder, and that. Yeah. But I mean, be rational too. If interest rates are 9.5, and you're like, this is the best time to buy, and you're like, well, or maybe it is. Maybe it is the best time to buy. Who knows? But I think there's like a balance there.
I think the quote from the book was, prepare like a pessimist, dream like an optimist, where it's
I like that. That sounds good.
So everyone read that book.
The glass is half full.
The next headline is positive. That's good. Maybe we're going to get more positive headlines.
Yeah, let's go positive. Yeah. This is from redfin.com. Housing market update. Home buyers' monthly payments dropped to lowest level in nearly a year, bringing back some house hunters. So I'll read like the subline. The median U.S. housing payment is down nearly $400 from its October peak, enticing some sideline buyers to get back in the game. So that's nice. And that was taking the average, that was the average mortgage rate and then the average selling price and just what would be the mortgage. So that's down nearly $400. So I think there's a chart that NAHB put out that showed like the number of people, if the interest rate went up 0.25, half a point, a full point, how many people would now be out of the market just based on affordability, like their debt to income ratios and all that sort of thing. And you're like, oh, there's now more people, like legit, there's more people. It's not even like, oh, we're just making this up. No, there's X amount of million more people. I need to find that chart because we could probably give you that real number. I'm sure it's let's say it's 1 million people. Sounds good to me. 1 million's a good number.
Well, I mean, we see it in our home builder data dashboard where, we tell
Chart right up.
builders, we go, and then, the chart is kind of trending down for interest on websites and conversions. And then right after the Christmas and New Year, it shoots up. And so we're seeing that. And if anyone also, you don't have access to that data, sometimes I'll just go into googletrends.com and search homes for sale and zoom out, and you can see the trends that are happening within Google search as well of like, oh, that is the trend of what we're seeing. And now that more people can potentially qualify, obviously there will be more people, and capturing them in spring sometimes is extremely valuable. So don't miss any opportunities right now to try and capture those people interested. Because I think that's what has happened. Like a lot of people last year maybe waited too long, and then October peaked and people went, wow, I'm completely out. And now that they're down again, people are like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that this is still lower than October. So if I'm going to make a move, I need to make a move fast. So
what's really interesting, I feel like this could be like, print this thing out. If I was a salesperson, I would try to sell with some rationality, even though the initial decision to buy a home typically is irrational. It's ego driven, it's emotional driven, whatever it may be, but there's some strong emotion behind it. There's a chart towards the bottom where it's the median sales price, and it shows 2023, 22, 21, and 2020. Every March, the median sales price increases for the past 4 years. So history typically repeats itself, just the story is a little bit different. So chances are, if like right now you print this thing out, it's like, hey, rates are 6.0 or whatever, 6.1. For the past 4 years, March through the end of the year, prices only go up. Now, it'll only be 1, 2, 3, 4%. But what if rates bump up a little bit? You're like, well, what if rates go down? Then you refinance in a year or two, but you're locked in at a lower sales price, and you could later refinance if rates drop low enough for it to make sense. But yeah, I've never seen that chart where it's stacked like that, where it's very obvious, like the prices go up in March, past 4 years in a row. That's cool.
Check it out.
Check it out. Last one from Zillow Media Room is interstate movers chased affordability in 2023. Is anyone shocked by that? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That seems
people are
so
still
logical.
like, they want that house, and there's still some flexibility that allows them to change and to get what they want. So yeah. It used to be, I think, so national, and now it is more specific to areas. So that makes sense.
Let's see. Where did they go to? Olivia, who is the best and is listening right now on the podcast. She's like, what does it say? She loves the Midwest. Did more people go to the Midwest or Florida? I'm trying to find that data. I'm not sure which one it is. There's a competition. Who has the best food? We should do a deconvert tour. So let's see. Zillow's predictions for the hottest markets. There's a lot of Midwest in there, depending on where you count, kind of Midwest, ish. A lot of Ohio, and then kind of east, and then Florida, Orlando, and Tampa. So really, East Coast is going to be hottest markets for 2024, according to Zillow. But Buffalo, New York is number one. They get like 6 feet of snow, like all the time. I don't know if that's true or not, but that sounds like something in Buffalo, New York, or Rochester. It sounds really cold up there. Come down here to Florida. We need you.
Do you need more people in Florida?
If there's
Seems
more
like
people,
you'll have a lot of people in Florida.
Here's the thing. As a real estate investor living in his only real estate investment, our home, so you could shift that around, right? The more people here, the more demand for our homes. So the housing prices should go up.
Okay, that's
fair. Good, right? There we go. That's increasing my investment. The more people here, the more restaurants we get, the more things we have to do. If it goes the other way, that would not be a good situation. We'll have less things. So I view it as good. I don't need to drive. I don't have a commute, so I don't really care if the traffic's miserable. It is what it is.
So you can move to the Midwest. Is what you're saying? I'm
not going to Columbus. Actually, Columbus was nice. I've been there a few times. That's a fun little spot. But I don't want the snow, so I'm not doing that. Let's see. Well, that's it for the news. Let's move on to our current favorites or hates. Olivia's talking to us. What's that say? Ohio with the acronyms. The only thing I know about Ohio is Buckeyes. Aren't those peanut butter, little chocolate peanut butter things, desserts? They have a football team too. something about Buckeyes, I think, right? That's there as well. Julie, current
Yeah.
favorite?
So I tell you, we've been eating a little healthier, but my new do y'all get like obsessed with one food for a little while?
Yes.
Yeah.
Eat it every day.
So my
Chicken.
latest is that I now make pancakes with nothing but 3 eggs and a banana, like no flour, no anything. You just blend up 3 eggs and a
Okay.
banana,
What's the texture
then
like?
pour it on the, it's a little eggy, but it doesn't bother me for some reason. My
It's a little
husband's not a
weird.
fan,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I'm obsessed. I eat banana pancakes with just 3 eggs and a banana all the time right now. I know I get sick of them eventually and never want to eat them again, but that's
Probably.
my current weird food
Syrup
thing.
on there, like some type of
A
syrup.
little tiny bit of syrup,
Just
but
for the,
mostly
like,
I
a
put a
little
little
bit.
butter. Yeah. Yeah. But and I feel like Kevin won't approve of this
I
because
was
I feel like
thinking
he's a
about him.
pancake purist. And I
Yeah.
think he'll be against my banana pancake plan, but I'm all for them right now. They're my favorite.
Man, this sounds like someone who does jujitsu would eat that for sure. Like,
There you
give me
go.
my protein. I need to
They're
kill people.
tasty.
It sounds good. So 3 eggs and a banana. That's all.
3
it is.
eggs and a banana, blend it up, put it in a skillet.
That's so
I'll do
simple.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. They kind of fall apart a little bit. You got to get practice flipping. You got to be
you
a
know,
good flipper.
When it's in your mouth, it falls apart. So like,
Yeah.
what's the difference? It's either on the plate falling apart or 2 seconds later
Mhm.
it falls apart. Jackie,
Favorites, Legos, but won't go into that anymore.
that's
I
it.
love it. But least favorite, Samsung.
Ooh.
And don't come after me, Samsung, but I dislike you greatly. I
think
hate
everyone
Samsung.
hates them.
Oh my gosh. About a year and a half ago, I dropped a spice jar on the stove and it cracked my induction oven. It still worked, but we knew that one day it was going to go out. So this wasn't something I didn't expect. So it cracks New Year's Eve. Water finally penetrated enough. I hear and smell something. And now the oven and the stove are gone. They're done. So now I have to wait 3 weeks for an oven. It's been fun also, Julie. I'm eating out of camping stuff. That's a long story.
You get to camp every day.
I do get to camp every day. But I have a Samsung fridge.
Great.
It is icing up and the ice breaks every day. I have a Samsung dishwasher where I basically have to do my dishes every day, twice. And I now will have an LG oven that hopefully I will love, love, love. And I'm slowly moving out the other products. But man, I think some things too is like when you're talking about content, like I moved into this house and they existed. And now that I have lived with them, I feel like I want to do a video of do not buy this. Here are the reasons not to buy this. I would never recommend this fridge and certain content. So sometimes you can have a good experience. You're like, I don't need to do anything. And sometimes such a negative experience can make you go, everyone I know, never buy this again. I will be against Samsung for the rest of my life.
I feel like we hear that all the time. Samsung appliances. Just say no. Who's that? Nancy Reagan? Just say no.
What do you got for us, Andrew?
not refrigerators. It's actually, it's a love-hate. So like 6 weeks ago, we have a hot tub. Like we use it all the time. And it's always 102 degrees. Like it's always ready to go. And I'm like, man, it's not cooling. And then I had some error that was like low flow, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, that's not good. Then I see that it's taking more power, like on my little app. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna shut it down, drain it, not to worry about it. Like it was before Thanksgiving, They came out 2 days ago, or it's today, Thursday, yesterday. They came out on a Wednesday. Take a look. They're like, well, it's not this. It's not that complicated. There's a pump to move the water. There's a heater to heat the water. And there's all the control mechanisms to make it all talk. So pump's great. Checked it. Heater, almost brand new. That was replaced under warranty. It's good. Like it's heating up. Like you could test it. So the next thing is like, well, I'm just gonna replace this thing. It might or might not be it. Your warranty expires in 2 months. So either give it a few months. It's the price this right now, or the price out of warranty is this. It was like this. Like for the part was like $600 under warranty, about $1,200 out of warranty. Like they're a cool company. They give everything at allegedly at cost if it is under warranty, and then they mark it up, to make money on it out of warranty. So I'm like, oh, that's a good sales pitch / like trap me in the corner type of situation. I'm like 600, 1,200, 600, 1,200.
I think that correlates with what you're just saying regarding like though, when people are talking about homes in March, it's like right now, here's what you can do. March,
you might not want to do either, but like you got to live somewhere. You have to pay it. You got to pay the man. Either way, you have to live somewhere.
Got to go in your hot tub someday.
And right now, so this might be foolish, but I'm like, well, I have 2 months to kind of like break that part. If that's not it, like I need, so I'm trying to like, I turned it on yesterday to 104. I'm wasting, I'll probably spend like $50 in power
Mhm.
to make sure under warranty, like we're good. It's been like 50 degrees outside, 50 something. It's 63 right now, but at night it gets down to 50. Have the thing at 104. Have to change the setting to turn it into like human boiling mode. And it's been staying at temperature, but it's just running. So far, it's been great. It hasn't tripped the brake or anything. So I think we're good. I think that's the
Okay.
part. So that's my little insurance to make sure we get everything replaced under warranty at the lower cost.
Nice.
So it's a love hate though, because that's like end of the day. Like I'll go out there like 6 o'clock at night, just like okay, that's good. I'll make dinner now. All set. Well, you know what? Is that it for this week? That's
Yeah.
it. That's it for this week. Awesome. I think this is pre-recorded, but I'm gonna say it anyways because it's so much fun. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to become a member for free of Deconvert's all-access community app for home builders and developers. Watch behind-the-scenes videos from the podcast, frequent exclusive postings and analysis from the DYC team, access to private hangouts, and much, much more. See you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.